Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the September 9th Lebanon City Council meeting. Our first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilman Campbell, will you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now we'll move on to the roll call of members. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Sure. Mike Kincaid.
Present.
Keith Campbell.
Here.
Morris Jones.
Here.
Dick Robertson.
Here.
John Copeland.
Here.
Brent Wheat.
He's absent.
Absent. And that's all we have.
Okay, very good. Next, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from our previous meeting. Any edits or changes to the minutes? Okay, would entertain a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, minutes are approved. All right, we do have a swearing in of a new city council member tonight. So, Sierra, if you wanted to step forward, I'll give you your oath of office. You can come join us up here, all right? We're going to do it right here by the podium. Then Sam, do you want to hold the Bible for you? You guys hear us okay over here? Close enough?
Here.
Okay. All right, so just left hand on the Bible and then raise your right hand. Very good. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Sierra Messenger,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and diligently
and diligently
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office
of the office
of Lebanon City Council of the Lebanon City Common Council member at large,
of the Lebanon City Common Council at large,
according to the law
according to the law
and to the best of my ability.
and the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, now we have a full board. Should we take a roll call again, Tanya, or I'm just kidding?
I'm going to add Sierra Messenger in the council at
Congratulations.
large spot, and you'll be on the roll call the next time.
Thank you.
Yes.
Very good.
Welcome.
All right, so sorry for kind of throw things for a wrench here, but do I have consent from council to do the agenda out of order here? We have some requests I wanted to do first.
Yes, sir.
Consent? Consent.
Yes.
Okay. Then I will have the food and beverage request for the Back to the 50s and Lincoln Days. So John, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, can we have a representative from the Back to 50s, please?
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
I'm Carmen Ottinger. I'm Chairman of the Back to the 50s Festival, and we are here celebrating our 25th anniversary of the Back to the 50s Festival and requesting funding from the Food and Beverage Fund for entertainment for this year. This being our 25th anniversary, I'm passing out to you an overview of the activities for the festival of the weekend of September 13 and 14. We are at the fairgrounds. This is our third year at the fairgrounds. We've been able to expand our festival for quite a few events, allowing us more parking for those attending, allowing our car show, classic car show, to grow. We have about 300 cars come on Saturday. That allows us for entire car clubs to come in groups together, which they love to come as in groups and enjoy the day. The biggest thing this year that we're adding is a concert on Saturday night with the Wright brothers. They are an Indiana group, and if you don't know them, I can speak for a long time about them because I follow them. I see somebody grinning. They know who it is. We follow them for many years. They've been in movies. They've played all over the United States, and their music is really quite wonderful. Two brothers starting that. They come from French Lick, Indiana, and the group has grown, and their music is a wide variety of music. We are asking the council for $1,500 to help with payment of entertainment for this year. We've also added the Circle, I must say this slowly, Circle City Sidewalk Stompers Clown Band. They're from Indianapolis. You may have seen them at the Indiana State Fair, other events throughout Indiana. They've traveled around the world. We're excited to have them this year. And the Black Box Theater Bozo Clowns are going to also be on the grounds prior to that, doing some vignettes with those attending the festival. And they're also going to help assist with crowd control while the band does their thing. So we'll have a roped-off area, but the clowns from from Black Box Theater will be there to assist the other clown group if they are needed, or just be there during the event. We're excited to have them along. Everything else is pretty much the same from each year. We have added more to our RC exhibits, RC mini truckers. We've also added a demolition derby and the RC Granger crawl. And it's an obstacle course, and I think John just heard about that the other night for the Parks Department. They're going to be building an area down at Abner Longley Park. That is all going to be held in the Rabbit Poultry Building and right outside. We're excited. The mini truckers, this is their third year with us. The demolition derby, this is their first year, and the crawl is the first year with us. So if you've not seen any of the mini trucks, they're exquisite. That's a silly word to use maybe for trucks, but mom and dad and your kids all are involved with these trucks. We have truckers from 5 states coming. Last year, we had a fellow from England here. He happened to be in the States and saw their blog and came to buy a truck and stayed the weekend. So we are putting those truckers in our hotels. And we also have another group that's coming called the Escapees. It is an RV group. This is their second year with us. They had 15 units to start with. There's now 30 units of them coming once they found out the Wright brothers were going to be there Saturday night. So that's doubled in size. Our facilities director, Jack, is going a little nuts, setting up new electrical hookups and water hookups for that group. We've also had some other people just call and say, we want to come and bring our RV and stay the weekend. We're coming to see the concert. We follow them too. So we're pretty excited about that. Our main entertainment, as you can see on the docket, all of those are returnees to the festival. They've been with us over the years. We tried to decide on our headliner, couldn't decide on a headliner, so we've got co-headliners, Terry Lee and the Rockaboogie Band and the Rigby's. The Rigby's do a Beatles show. So the others are all returning. The Mooncats is strictly 50s and 60s rock and roll. And so we've extended that portion of our entertainment another hour, so there won't be too much downtime between that entertainment and when the Wright brothers start. And we are also setting up a large tent for that entertainment to be under. With the heat that we've had lately, it's left our festival people out in the heat, and we've lost a few, which then the entertainers don't have a big audience. So now you'll be able to be under the big tent with some bleachers, picnic tables, or you can bring your own chairs and be a little more comfortable underneath the tent for the entertainment showcase. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. We've still got other things that we've had before, and just expanding on everything. Our shopping venues for the exhibitors in the commercial building, I have 8 booths left. Outside, we've moved our vendors into Center Circle for the convenience of shopping. That's unlimited space there, so it's not sold out, so we can still sell space there. If I can answer any other questions from you, we're very excited that you have graced us with being able to show and tell about this, and we hope that you'll give us a favorable recommendation.
Carmen, are the Friday night activities at the fairgrounds also?
Yes, everything's at the fairgrounds. Everything is there. And we share some things with the other 2 events, the dog show and the bottle show. We share some things together that we all need, say like golf carts, we rent them. We all work together with signage, with some of the things that we both need together that we go in on partnership on. So we have worked with other things with both of the groups together.
The dog show out there at the same time?
Yes, as I tell other
What's the
people.
other show?
Pardon?
What was the other show?
The Antique Bottle Show. It's in the Farm Bureau building. And I tell people there's 800 dogs and their owners that'll be there from Wednesday through Sunday.
How many?
800. They alternate a bit. Some will come in and do their competition. They'll move on. There may be others come in that take their place. They have 3 arenas in the Witham Pavilion. And so if you've never seen a dog show, you may have seen it on television, but you can come and sit and watch actual competition in the different breeds of animals. They take up the Witham, Centennial Hall 1 and 2, and some of the, like the cattle, the swine, and the horse buildings, and lots of territory out there, but we share a lot together. They come and buy from our food vendors. They shop with us. Our people go and watch the dog show that's never seen a dog show before. They shop over the bottle show. Their people come and buy food from our vendors because they used to have a caterer. Now they don't hire one. They come and shop and buy our food, which makes our food vendors are real happy. So it's been a win-win that we've all been able to share the territory out there. We have parking attendants, help you get parked. We still have a shuttle, even though we lost ours in a fire 2 years ago. We now partner with Dell's Tree Farm, and so we use one of their shuttles, and our Antique Tractor Club still pulls the shuttle. And we still have antique tractors in with the car show. So if you've missed seeing tractors at the fair, they'll be there too. So
How many people at the bottle show?
You know, I don't know how many vendors they have, so I've never got the chance to go look. I'm too busy.
I didn't know they had bottles.
Yeah, it's very unique. I've got pictures because our photographer has had a chance to go in and take pictures. I have a festival photographer, and then I have 2 high school interns working with us. They have worked on the yearbook and the pennant, and they are working with us to do pictures. This helps them learn more with photography, gets more experience. And the one we had last year, she enjoyed it so much. And the high school kids have a different take on taking pictures. They look at the artistry of their pictures a little different than our festival photographer. So we have last year I think we had 3,000 to 4,000 photos of the festival that we're able to use for PR. We have a commercial running right now on Channel 6. So if you can catch it in some of the early hours on the news, a little bit on the late hours, maybe in the middle of the day, but they're 15 and 30-second commercials that we're running. And you'll see some of the photos that our interns took, some that our festival photographer has taken, and they're all wonderful photographers. We have really nice photo books. Anything
thank
else
you.
that I can answer?
Do you know roughly what your turnout was last year?
That is really hard to estimate. We estimate and say between 3,000 and 5,000 because getting a gate estimate without using clickers because people come and go, and part of those coming in the gate are either going to the bottle show or they're going to the dog show. And since we have 4 gates that they can come in, everybody can come in. And so to keep track of that, and there's no admission, and it's all free except for when you buy your food or you buy items from our vendors. So everything else is free, or you enter into the art and photography show, that's a fee. And last year we had one of the largest art and photography shows. This year we had slow going, but the entries are coming in really nicely right now, and then there's walk-ins on Friday night.
Okay. Mrs. Ottinger met with the Food and Beverage Committee, Councilman Morris Jones and Councilman Wheaton, myself. Some of the things we discussed was the attendance, and I think we discussed approximately 3,000 to 5,000 people. She talked about the escape campers with 30 RVs so far. It is going to be held on September 13th, Friday, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., Saturday from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Variety of entertainment groups, approximately 10. Food vendors, approximately 11 to 12. most of the money, or a lot of the money that's raised, go to grants to all the Boone County schools. This year, the project is art. And
Yes, art, correct.
art.
Last year was
And
music.
in the past, it's been anywhere from $150 to $250 per school if they meet the requirements. Is that correct?
Correct.
Other things that they donate to would be the Boone County Cancer Society, Lebanon Little League, Humane Society, Boone County, and other nonprofit organizations, correct?
Correct.
Okay. With that, I would be open for entertainment for a dollar amount. Morse,
I think 1,500 would be fine.
that's your motion?
That's my motion.
We have a motion to make a $1,500 appropriation for the food and beverage request for the Back to 50s committee. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? All right, that request is approved.
We thank you very much, and I was holding our sponsor board so I could have put a place on there. Give me how you would like that listed so that Mr. Mount can put, is that Lebanon Food and Beverage Fund?
Do you want committee or do you want
Or
City of
committee?
Lebanon?
City of Lebanon would be fine.
City of
Just
Lebanon
City
is
of
fine.
Lebanon?
Yep.
Yep.
Now, I have that on there because we got a small grant from Joe LePage's little grant thing earlier. Do you want, so it's the Food and Beverage Fund?
Well, let's do City of Lebanon then, and let's do Lebanon City Council. Does that work?
Okay, Lebanon City Council on the other one.
Okay.
Thank you.
right,
John
thank
was
you.
holding my sign until I could tell him in the morning.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'd like to make one comment. If you've not seen the RC mini trucks, if you've never seen those, go and see those. That is the neatest thing I saw last year. And I tell you, the way those guys handle those trucks and pull them out and back them in, I mean, they are really good. And I'm telling you, if you've never seen it,
The
get out there and
first,
go see that first thing, because
the first year that we got them, we've had them 2 years. And last year, they asked us if they could be an annual event. No need to ask them any further, just plan that they were coming every year. I said, that pleases me, and all I need is each year, they just sign a little contract with us so that we make sure we have everybody's address, email, and that we know that they're going to be there. They're hard ones to get rid of on Saturday night. And they want to set up on Thursday, and I said, no, you can't set up till Friday morning. And on Saturday night, it's like, you guys have to put the trucks away. We're going home. They're ready. They're ready.
They're toys, they like to play.
Oh, I know. They're ready to stay till Sunday or Monday. They love it.
Thank you.
so very much.
Our second request this evening would be from the Lincoln's Lebanon organization. Jane, could you step up and introduce yourself, please?
Knock over everything.
Hi, I'm Jane Hammock, and I'm with the Boone County Historical Society, and we're the sponsor of the Lincoln's Lebanon. Lincoln's Lebanon's premise is that in February 11th of 1861, Lincoln was on his inauguration train from his home in Illinois to Washington, D.C. On that day, he stopped in Thorntown, Lebanon, and Zionsville and spoke from the back of his car. He never got off the train. So the premise for our event on September 28th and 29th in Memorial Park is that Lincoln stopped that day. He gave his speech from the back of his car, and if you've seen the plaque, it's right here on 39. And then he got in a carriage, which we will have Saturday, and he took that carriage to a field north of town, which is now Lebanon Memorial Park, and he spent 2 days there talking to people. So this is a free event that the Historical Society puts on, a free history event. Mr. Lincoln will be there 2 days talking to people, and if you've not been to this event, Lincoln does not break character. If you talk to him about your cell phone or something, he will say he has no idea what you're talking about. He will talk about the events of the 1860s, and since this is a Civil War reencampment, he'll talk a lot about the war. On Sunday, Jefferson Davis also shows up, and a lot of times these guys will stay on opposite sides of the camp, and when they do meet, it's a little tense between the two of them because they are the two different opposing sides. There will be a full battle held Saturday and Sunday both with at least 6 cannons. There will be all the soldiers usually come Friday morning and camp out Saturday and Sunday. Their wives or women or the camp followers will do the cooking and things over camp stoves. This is all funded by the Historical Society through private and public donations. This year the Society has not made as much money as we normally make because the street was down and we had a lot of trouble getting to the house. So we're asking for a little more donations this year than we had before. I left some brochures up there to show you what we're giving people and what all is going on. Everything for the encampment cost, and I didn't realize this because I had never been a reenactor before. Lincoln himself is $600 to come for 2 days. The 2 cannons to be there for 2 days and to shoot just a couple of rounds is almost $1,000. We have a mortician and a doctor who both show up with the campers, reenactors, and they're $350 a piece. So it is a very expensive event to put on. The soldiers, we all have to pay them for their ammo, which they shoot off during the battle. We also supply any straw, firewood, and ice that they would need. The ice is the only thing that they really break character with, but since they bring their own food, we have to keep them cold for them. We've always used Lebanon Memorial Park, and it's a great event. They take good care of us. The soldiers love it because it's trees like it would have been back then. They do have an open space there by the tennis courts where they can have their battlefield. So we had come this year before the food and beverage and asked them if they would like to help support us. As you notice in the brochure, we have listed a few other sponsors. Your artwork, if you get it to us, will be on there for the next printing of the brochures. We've only printed a few to get out to people that needed to know early about the event. If you have any questions about Lincoln's Lebanon, in case you've never been there before, I'll be glad to answer them for you.
That's it. I went last year. It was pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
I ate dinner there too.
Yeah, we have a bean supper that's provided free to the soldiers, and then for anybody in town that wants to stop by and have a ham and bean supper, it's a $5 charge. Zonta is there providing the foods. There's also another nonprofit in town that makes money from the event by selling their food during Saturday and Sunday.
Jane met with us at our last Food and Beverage Committee meeting. The event is, I don't know if we mentioned or not, is September 28th and 29th, a Saturday and Sunday. There is a dance on the 28th. And I want to confirm, I had in my notes, there will be church services on the 29th.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Sunday morning at 10 o'clock.
And it's well attended from
Yes.
Lebanon residents as well.
And before, we have had an Irish priest, and sometimes he will go before or after the church service in the encampment and go to St. Joe's and attend services there, and they kind of get a hoot out of him when he shows up in character.
Last year, approximately 1,000 attendees. It's growing. More and more people talk about it and ask about it each year. I think we need to, if it's approved tonight, remind the residents when the cannons are going to go off.
Yes,
So they'll be prepared for that and not think
especially you and the golfers.
the goal. Instead of a shotgun start, it would be a cannon start.
I hear pretty well in my house, though, too.
So, but with that, we made a favorable recommendation to the council tonight, and with that, I would like to make a motion of $1,500 to Lincoln's Lebanon event.
We have a motion to approve a $1,500 appropriation to Lincoln's Lebanon from the Food and Beverage Fund. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, that request has been approved.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And if you do have any artwork for us to put on a brochure, I'll be glad to get it, and we'll get that brochure redone.
We can get it to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny.
Okay. That concludes what I had for those requests. Was there anything else from that, John?
We are good for food and beverage.
Okay, great. While we're under new business, then, let's... So while we're under new business, then, I'll have Tanya introduce the next item, the reappropriation of NDOT's reimbursement.
Sure. And I think Kevin knows a little bit about this also. I'll just go ahead and talk about it. We paid the Lebanon Utilities $521,394.75 for utility work. This was an NDOT grant, so we received $417,115.80 back. So talking to the State Board of Accounts, we can go ahead and spend this money as long as we have council approval back into the CCD fund. So it's already in there, we just need approval to spend it.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add.
Okay, good.
This is typical. The reason why we are at this situation, maybe that might be a good backstory for you, is the throughout the design process, the cost for the road project, we found some ways to cut some cost out of it. So the original grant funding for construction that was not fully needed. We reached out to NDOT, said, well, can we use this to help defray some of the cost for our partners at Lebanon Utilities with the infrastructure relocations? Obviously, infrastructure is important to all of us around the city. It's important to do this and important to make these projects as viable as possible for Lebanon Utilities. So we converted some of our original construction dollars from federal highway to utility relocation dollars. And again, just like the construction dollars, those are reimbursable from NDOT at 80%. So we pay 20%, and then they give us, the total is paid by Lebanon Utilities. We submit the invoicing, they give us 80% back, and that stays in our CCI, CCD funds.
So is this just a motion to accept the reimbursement from NDOT? Okay.
So will this go to the utilities for their cost, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions for Kevin or Tanya?
Nope.
Okay. This time we'll entertain a motion to accept NDOT's reimbursement.
I'll make a motion, we accept the reappropriation of the NDOT reimbursement.
Okay. We have a motion approved. Is there a second? Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, that's approved. Very good. Thank you, Kevin. So now we'll go back to new business. Appreciate the council's willing to have this discussion again. We are kind of running towards, we do kind of need a decision from the council. I know there's been some ongoing discussions about what do we do for the Next Level Trails grant.
This is old business.
Huh? Yeah, I'm sorry, we're going back to old business now. Okay. I'm sorry, I apologize. So I just want to have, I know we've talked about this the last couple meetings, but I do want to have a clear direction for the city when it comes to Next Level Trails grant, which is the state funding for trails. We've talked about different dollar amounts, how much we want to match, what the scope is. So again, I just put this on the agenda tonight for kind of a final discussion to kind of give us some input back so we know what to submit to the state as part of that grant proposal. Now, granted, anything we commit tonight is not an actual, we're not writing a check tonight. This is just so we know what to submit on our grant. That grant may or may not be approved. It's still contingent upon the state, and so us actually outlaying those funds would depend on us actually receiving that grant. So again, just hoping for some closure on what you want us to do from a city perspective.
And also, we have 3 years or 4 years?
5.
5 years to come up with the money?
Correct, yes.
Whatever we commit, okay.
Yep. So I know there was discussion about whether or not we include the section outside of Center Township between us and Thorntown. And then there's also the discussion of whether we just keep it just within city limits. I do have the numbers in front of me. If we wanted to consider 40, and I think, Derek has talked about what percentage of match would look favorably from NDOT. It is a very competitive grant process. A 45% match would be roughly 1.3 million. A 40%, this is for the entire, not just for the section in town. 1.3 for 45%, 1.1 for 40%, 988,000 for 35%, 908,000 for 33%. And then if we just did the section in town, a 45% match would be 994, 40% would be 883, 35% 773, and then 33% 729. So I didn't know if council had more thoughts, discussion on direction we wanted to go. Dick, I know we talked quite a bit about this. Do you have any initial thoughts?
I'll give my initial thoughts. As far as financial goes, okay, I think we ought to make a $1 million commitment, and I think that ought to come out of food and beverage, and a little bit so much in the next 4 or 5 years to do that. Now I still have concerns about, and I lean more towards the city side to try to get that section done. I will say this, that I still have concerns about the portion out in the county, only because I'd like to see the county involved. My discussions with county officials are Yeah, they would love to, but there's no money. And I'll also say this, that not this past weekend, the weekend before, Labor Day weekend, I took a nice little trip in my car, and I'm out driving all over the countryside, and I ended up in I started Whitestown for breakfast, driving through the country to enjoy the nice day in my convertible, and headed towards Cicero. And through the backwoods, I ended up at Chatham Hills Development. And through the back roads, I crossed the Monon Trail. And every time I crossed the Monon Trail, I almost had to stop for somebody riding a bicycle to or crossed or just past the Monon Trail. And of course, the Monon Trail, I don't know where it ends at Indy. It ends at Indianapolis somewhere. Comes all the way up to Sheridan. I don't know how far it goes past Sheridan, but it goes that far. And there was a lot of bicyclers, between half a dozen to a dozen to a couple families, and so there was some really good use. And I'm all for the trails. I really think we need a trail. I think we need a trail to go through the county. I'd like to see us have that position somewhere, but I'm also still believing that somewhere I'd like to see the county involved, because there's a lot of property outside the county, a lot of the trail outside in the county that they need to have a part of, but it just seems like they just do not have the money to participate. And with that, I'm even concerned that they have if we was to take it, I am concerned that whether they'll have enough to handle to assist us with the maintenance portion of it. And I know John, John's going to sit there and he's going to tell us that, hey, I can take care of it, okay? Well, I know John can take care of it, but that's another 3 or 4 mile west and another 3 mile south, and that's a man gone or 2 men gone, and in time we're going to be hiring more staff for him to use to help maintain the trail. And staff and equipment is going to be added to do there, so which means there's going to be extra cost to us to maintain that. Is that a drawback? I don't know. I'm just saying we got to think about that. It's not just putting money out for the trail. There is going to be expense to it. And for us to sit here and say there's not going to be is not right, because there will be. So those are my thoughts. And I've talked to the county. I've actually talked to some county officials about their thoughts about participating, being a partner in it, and everything that came back to me. We just don't have the money. And so I guess it's kind of up to us, I guess, to decide how far we want to go. I will put it this way. I'm not putting money into a trail out in the county that the county's going to want back without paying for us for what we put into it. I'm not going to do that. I just don't think it's right that the city of Lebanon residents pay for something outside in the county and don't get any return should the county want it back. I don't know that they want it back. Yeah. I talking to county officials even this morning. It's kind of like, yeah, it'd be great. It's not this another person. It'd be great, but it's not the highlight thing that we need. We need other things, and plus we're not getting direction. So I think they need direction on that side. Maybe we're the spearheader of that direction. Well, I would love to see Thorntown County, Lebanon, Zionsville, Whitestown, we're all together on this trail to make it really something, and really supporting it all the way through. But
So this happened to me one time I was on the county council. We do have a county council member with us in the audience. Kevin, is there anything you want to say from the county's perspective? Getting flashbacks when you called me out, Keith.
You're putting Kevin on the spot.
I know.
You're speaking on yourself or the council?
Kevin Van Horn, Lebanon, Indiana. Hi, Mr. Mayor and the City Council members, and congratulations on your new position up there. I know you're going to do well. Thank you. With respect to the trails, Jane had mentioned the Lincoln Days coming up, and the historical direction there on the Big Four Trail is that, and Jane, I don't know if you were aware of it or not, but President Lincoln, when he became president, he came right down this railroad track from Illinois all the way to Washington, D.C., and then tragically, when he was assassinated, he took that same ride back up into Illinois. The Big Four Trail, it's got that historical significance to it, and Elise Nichella is the head of, county council member. She's the head of this Big Four Trail on the county level anyway, and she's done a lot of historical investigation with respect to the Big Four Trail. Mr. Mayor, you had said that you're willing to give $1 million. I'll take the check tonight if you want to give it to us, and I'll give that to Elise.
Dick said that, not me. I don't have any money. It's the council, so.
We've already done that. Dick had mentioned that, it's all about money. And sadly, the world that we live in, that's what it boils down to. Where do we get this money? We're all on board. John will sit there at the table with us, and Mr. Mayor, you've been there at the table with us, and all of us are on board. And in talking with Mr. Campbell this evening, he said, something's got to be done. Somebody's got to be brave enough to stand up and say, let's get some money and get this thing done. And from my position as a county council member, I'd like to get this thing done yesterday and get this trail done, because as you described very eloquently, Mr. Robertson, as you described, it was wonderful to see those families walking on the trails. And in answer to your question about the Monon Trail, the reason it's called the Monon Trail, they have the old railroad going through there. It starts at 10th and Massachusetts in Indianapolis, in my old neighborhood, and it goes all the way up to Sheridan right now. They want to even take it further up there. They're at 32 and 31. If you go over there by Westfield, you're going to see where they spent probably $1 million on that bridge crossing 32. They spent a lot of money on that just to keep the trail safe. So again, back with respect to the Big Four Trail, I'm going to mention, we've got our county council meeting in the morning. I'll be sure to mention to Elise that we've had this discussion, or that you folks, with respect to the city of Lebanon, have had a discussion about it tonight, and let her know that I'm all on board, as well as John is, to get this thing taken care of. So anybody have any questions?
So at this point, the county's not pursuing a Next Level Trails grant?
Well, they are, but the magic of where all the money's going to come from is what we are trying to figure out. Well, where's the money going to come from? Who are we going to get the money from? That's what it boils down to. And Elise has worked real hard working with the state legislatures with respect to the grant monies that are coming down. And she's got numbers written down, and there's great paths and roads on how to achieve this money and get it so we can get this thing taken care of. Whitestown, Zionsville, Lebanon, Thorntown, everybody has put money forth to make sure this thing works. And as you described, Mr. Mayor, the 3 miles this way, the 3 miles that way, it doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you have to go in there and start digging out trees and brush and the work that the city did right here at 32, I mean, that's a lot of work involved in it. So we want to get it done. It's just the availability of waving the magic wand to get the money to come in our hand to get it paid for.
So I think for us, that we have two questions to solve, and Dick has thrown out one possible answer to one is the amount, and the other one is the extent, right? What's the scope? So, I mean, I understand, Dick, you want to focus more on the city side. Kevin, you're mentioning, the county doesn't necessarily have any pledged funds to solve the section between Center Township and Thorntown does need to be significantly upgraded to make that up, and trails are about connectivity. So with that, short of that happening, right, who is that person that steps forward to complete that? So is that going to be us, or are we going to do we want to focus on our section through town, and that still is a problem out there? Based on my math, it looks like $1 million would be about a 36% match for the overall if we did the full scope from Outer Lonely Park all the way to Thorntown. or it'd be greater than 45% if we just did the section in town. So are there any thoughts concerning scope?
Do you remember what the matching, what exactly it was? Like, we give so much, and then what's the overall?
It's a 50-50 match with the
50-50
state.
match, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me, I'm sorry, that's not correct. It's whatever is left. So the minimum is 20%, but this is a very competitive grant process.
Right.
So it's not a, the closer you can be to 50-50, the higher you would rank on the state's grading
Right.
scale, essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
sorry.
makes sense. And what did, I'm trying to remember exactly, Derek, what he recommended, what was his percentage?
45.
Was it 45 that's what I have? written
Derek
down.
recommended 45, but he also recommended the full scope, though, all the way to Thorntown, because there's a section there that widened and paved, because there's a section that's not paved currently, that it can be a challenge for the people on road bikes.
There are trails all across the state of Indiana that Governor Holcomb has said, and his people, let's get this thing taken care of. Families need this in the neighborhoods, the cities, the towns, the communities they live in, and it's a multi-million-dollar investment that Governor Holcomb has got behind and said, let's give out grants to these communities so they can get it taken care of. So know in your heart that when I go to the county council meeting in the morning, I'll be sure and let Elise know that we had the conversation this evening, and I guarantee Elise will work hard to get this taken care of, as she does on everything that she takes care of, at least Michelle on the science valve.
Kevin, I got a question you might be able to answer. If we, in the grant, apply for the whole thing, let's say from Thorntown and through Lebanon to Abner and Long Lake Park, and we don't have that commitment yet from the Boone County's trail people. Really, we don't have a written commitment down on paper that we want to be part of the grant, or we're willing to donate. Do we have a letter or anything like that saying that from the trails people?
I do not know the answer to that, but I guarantee you,
I was
Elise.
talking to Kevin, I'm sorry.
Kevin does, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kevin.
Share the mic with another Kevin.
I'm sorry, Kevin.
Yes, we do have the commitment from the Friends of Boone County Trails. They still maintain ownership of the trail from Center Township to Sarin Plant Road, just outside of Thorntown. They are currently mowing the entire corridor. The city does reimburse them at the end of the year for our portion within Center Township. John could probably help me, but I want to say the cost for mowing for the entire year, you talked about maintenance, I want to think it's like $3,700 a year.
Yeah, we take care of.
Yeah, so it's not an extensive amount of maintenance, at least in terms of the mowing cost. $3,700 for a calendar year is relatively inexpensive, and that is done by a contractor. That is not John's guys going out and mowing it. It's a landscape company that mows it for the Friends, and then the city does reimburse them for a portion of that. Yes.
Okay,
So-
I'm gonna ask a crazy question then. I'm getting this from your comment that you just made. The Trails Committee, Trails Group, Rails to Trails, they have ownership of the property.
Yes.
And they are willing to put that property up for, what's the word?
They'll donate it.
They're willing to
They're gifting
donate
it to
the
us,
property.
right?
And
They're
I
willing to
will-
Yeah.
donate the property to us in ownership?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
And that would equate to about $414,000 of match that we can put towards the grant.
And I think that's what, and I'll try to speak as eloquently about this as Derek. He's the one that's extremely passionate about trails in the community and deserves a lot of credit for getting us to this point. But the simple donation of the land would cover about, I believe the number is about 24% of the cost of improving that section of trail. So right there, it already, without any additional dollars from the city, puts that into a situation where it is compliant with the grant requirements, minimum of 20% match. And then, what we were proposing, what Derek has proposed to you is if we put that into the entire project with the dollar amounts that the mayor mentioned, we can pretty easily get to the 45%, which we feel is the sweet spot that's going to make us successful on getting the project done. And on a bigger picture level, another thing that scores really well, in addition to percentage of funding from the state's position, is the idea of these are regional trails. This is not just a trail that connects downtown Lebanon to Abner Longley Park. This is a trail that, with a little bit of work, now connects Thorntown, and remember, north of Thorntown to Colfax got a grant in the last cycle. So now this is a trail that goes from Lebanon to the entire length of Boone County. And then, we have to work on the only gap that then would be left is the 3 mile or so gap between Lebanon and Whitestown. And again, Whitestown and Lebanon both committed that, we will fund the construction of the trail if we can get the right-of-way acquired. But that's another probably conversation for another night in terms of the acquisitions between Lebanon and Whitestown, because that is not controlled by the Friends of Boone County. Most of that is in private ownership at this point.
Okay, my next question is, first I'll start with a comment so everybody understands. The section north of Thorntown to Colfax, okay, Colfax is redoing that section.
Yes.
They got a grant to do that. Also, in the way I understand it, because I was there the day they signed it at the courthouse or the county meeting, was that at the end of 3 years, that property was turning over to the county.
I'm not for certain on that. I'm not.
Well, that's why I was there at the meeting.
I would, yeah.
Okay, I was there at the meeting, and I'm sitting there questioning why are they wanting to do this, then turn it back over to the county? And so and I know where everybody's been kind of going, but I'm just trying to think outside the box a little bit of whether we wanted that parcel or not wanted that parcel. If the Friends of Boone County Trails came onto the grant process with us and giving their share to help with the share for the grant, and in other words, when we're all done in 4 years, they still have ownership of the trail. And at that point, in 3 years or whatever, if the county is going to come up and they think they're going to take the trail, they could then take over that portion of the trail.
So we can't count the donation of the
No,
land?
I'm thinking no. What I'm thinking is Friends of Boone County Trails come onto the grant with us.
So they'll
And they're
write it.
offering their portion of land as a
The way Derek explained it, they're going to gift it to us, so that can be part of it. So if we decide to apply for the grant and it goes through, they'll give us the land and the right-of-way. That way, we can deduct it from the total that we are going to pay.
Yeah.
Is that what
right,
everyone else?
right. But what I'm saying is kind of like the opposite way of them just coming on with us with the grant, and they're offering up their share as a part
I think
of the grant.
I don't want to speak for the Friends, but I don't think I'm out of line in saying they want to promote the advancement of trails in the community. They are really not set up to continue to own and maintain trails. I mentioned it's only $3,700, but that is a real stretch for them to make every year. They're a completely nonprofit, volunteer-ran organization. They want to get out of trail ownership and maintenance. They want to be what they're truly meant to be, which is an advocacy group.
Well, my only thought is to just get all the information out to the council, that's all.
But if they don't donate the land to us, it doesn't count for a match. And they already have committed, they'll write a support letter, they'll be in support of our application. It's just, we can't count it as part of our match unless it's actually donated to us.
Well, I'm looking at it as though they become a member of the grant with us, and they're donating their portion.
But the grants are for cities though, so they'd be a support letter. The way they would support the grant is they put money towards it, which they're doing via the donation.
Right.
So my thought I had a conversation with Dan Workentine, and he said what Kevin said, they don't want to be in the ownership.
I understand.
Okay, so
I understand.
My thoughts are, we should be all in from Lebanon to Thorntown. We should get the ball rolling and go with the 45% amount. About 5 years to get the county involved at some point, at some level, but we get the ball rolling. And then we're done with that part.
Well, and frankly, if we can get the county involved with the section between us and Whitestown, that's the key. I mean, this essentially is the low-hanging fruit, I would say, to get this section done. With the match, that's easy. Getting it through town, that's much easier than the section between us and Whitestown. So having if the county's going to spend any money on trails, I would hope they would come alongside us on the section between us and Whitestown, because that's the trickier piece to get.
That's exactly what I would echo, and that has been staff's recommendation all along, that is the next project. And again, the more difficult project, because the Friends do not own that land yet. So there's a right-of-way acquisition issue that has to be addressed there. And I think that would be the most advantageous position for all of us, would be if the county is really a partner in that process of getting the trail to Whitestown.
Well,
and
I
then
agree.
We can essentially say we've got a trail that crosses the county and is very close to being connected to the Monon, as we get into the southeastern corner of Boone County. And, then we really got something to say that this is a regional trail that connects from Indianapolis all the way across Boone County on up to Colfax. And it's just a matter of time before that is going all the way to Lafayette. And we know Lafayette has similar organizations and sites and plans on doing just that. So, this is actually, when completed, the Big Four Trail has the opportunity to be perhaps more impactful to the state than the Monon Trail, because of the large communities it could connect.
My only comment, and you touched a little bit, is on the south side, headed south, and for Kevin, okay. And we got Whitestown and Lebanon, and we're all agreed that supposedly agreed that we would help pay for constructing the trail from there and there. I frankly think the county needs some skin in the game, and I think the county, if they're going to get skin in the game, they need to identify where it's going to go, and they need to go by the right of way.
I would agree with you.
And then let us take care of partnering with getting the design done and constructing it.
Yep, I'm going to relay all the information.
But I just think the council, that'd be the way the council gets skin in the game. You get it, you figure out where it's going to go, and you buy the right of way.
Sure will. Thank you.
I think the recommendation from staff and the Friends and others that are advocating for this would be to stay on the rail corridor. The rail corridor is essentially intact between here and Thorntown. It's just in private hands at this point.
Yeah, I know.
There is other ways, of course. There's always multiple ways to skin a cat, but the best route, in our opinion, is a direct route following the railroad.
I'd agree with you.
Any other thoughts from council before? I'm going to have some public comment on this too. I wanted to hear from the community too, but any other thoughts before we?
The only questions that I have is, I know that we've, years ago, we got into a deal similar to this over the creek, Prairie Creek. And I know the city bonded a whole bunch of money to get Prairie Creek cleaned out. And then the county came back in the next year and took it back.
So I'm not familiar with that. That predates me, but
Yeah, that's what I'm
What
saying.
does that have to do with the trail?
Well,
if the Friends donate to us, it's city property.
Right.
So
but
they
I don't
can't
want
just
the
come back
county-
and.
well, it was ours to begin with on the other too, but they somehow came back and got it back. And I'm just saying to you, it would have to be ours, and they can't ever get it back unless we sell it to them for what we've paid.
I think that's, I mean, at least my intention, and I think John's intention and staff's intention is that if the land is donated to us, it would stay with the city. So that, for as long as we wanted to keep it, that would be our intention with it, so.
I think eventually in time, that's probably the way it's going to end up. It's going to be a trail through the county that belongs to all the communities.
Yep.
And the county basically has nothing to do with it.
Yep. Well, I think we're more set up to have this, right? We have a Parks Department, we're more set up to do
Yeah.
it, so. Any other thoughts? We're open up for public comment? Any public comment concerning this? Any thoughts from the community? Cindy, please. Great choice of attire, like always.
Cindy Zimmerman, Viceroy Lane here in Lebanon. Do I remember correctly that you can apply for this grant every year?
So it was a one-time $90 million that we put in, that the governor opened up for trails. There are 3 rounds. They had the first round the end of last year. They're having the second round here. The application had to be in before October. I think, is that right, Kevin?
Yeah.
I think roughly
Yeah.
October. And then there will be a third round. We don't know the dates yet, but then once that's done, it's done. So it's not like it's an annual, we can do it 3 years from now.
We could still apply for that third round as well to get additional money?
We could. The challenge will be every person that applied for the first round and didn't get money is going to be applying for the second round. Everybody that applied for the first and second round that didn't get money is going to be applying for the third round, plus new people too. So it's going to get more competitive as we go along. And based on what we've heard, we think this round will be the biggest pot, so to speak. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not like it's an annual thing.
Okay.
It's
Yeah, I
kind of
remember
a, it's
that
kind of
about
a.
the 3 then.
Yeah,
Thank
yep.
you.
Kevin, do you know what the numbers were of how many applied and how many got it this last time? Do you remember those numbers?
I'm guessing.
It was huge.
I think it was like 142 applicants, if that number is in my head, and 20 communities got it.
Yeah,
Does that
yeah.
seem right? I think Mayor may
Yeah,
know.
so, and the whole key is how much, basically, how much we're invested, how many partners are in it. That's the whole key. Do we really want it? And if we really, really want it, and we're willing to put our skin into the game, we have a better chance of winning it.
I think that's important, and that leads into the percentage that we're recommending of 45. And in fact, when we started off these conversations internally with staff and our consultants, we were thinking we needed to be at 50. We're backing that off to try to get
Well,
to
50? Is that all you need?
50%.
Well, he said we scaled it back. He said.
So we scaled it back a little bit, to try to be sympathetic to what we're hearing. But, yeah, I think it's going to come down to, really what it's going to come down to for the state is how do they get the biggest impact for their dollar? They want to partner with people, as you said, have more skin in the game, more partners, having a regional impact, completing key sections of what will eventually be a key regional trail, I think is what's going to score really well. We're confident that the Big Four Trail is an important corridor for the state. It's been noted in all kinds of trail studies throughout the state. So I think it doesn't always just come back to money, but I think it does come back to what is the biggest impact they can make for the dollar that they're going to put into the grant program.
Kevin, I will point out that if we go in at 45 and don't get it, third round, we have to go in at 75 to have a chance.
Well, we'll see.
That's
a big number.
But I think the mayor's right in his earlier comments. Yeah, everyone, the 120 people that didn't get it in round 1 are going to repackage that same proposal and probably be, if they're smart, be a little more aggressive with round 2. And then there's going to be communities like us that we didn't think we were ready for round 1. We didn't have the study put together. We weren't sure we could put together a solid application. And that's not necessarily a funding question. That's just we didn't think we had done enough planning to say, here's what it's really going to cost, here's where it's going to go. We thought it would be a rushed application. I'm sure there's other communities that said we're not ready for round 1, we'll go round 2. So I don't know, it's all speculation, but it wouldn't surprise me if I heard that there were 300 applications in round 2. And they award 40 this time. So.
And the only reason I was interested in the county being a participant is that makes it look better that we got the largest party invested or interested in it, in being a partner in it,
Well,
okay?
and
Whether they are or not, I just thought that looks better And we got another
And I
bigger
think they will
entity.
be, from a support letter standpoint, I'm pretty sure we've talked about us having a support letter from the county. The challenge is whenever we've had discussion with the county, it's saying we
We'd
don't
like
know where to
a
get it.
support letter and a check to go
Well,
with
I-
that.
I think we can get you the first one.
Yeah, we definitely do the support. Any other public comment? Please.
Good evening, Council. My name's Tom Valbrick. I've been in this town probably since the initial trail started, and I don't know when it was started, but I remember when it was very first started. It wasn't even paved, it was just a path. And I really didn't think trails meant a lot. I really didn't, till I've been observing, not just the local trail. My wife and I travel quite extensively in the winter, and I was amazed how many trails in other states I've run across. Just amazes me that they're out there. And the sad part is there's 10 people in front of me here and half a dozen here that somewhat in favor of this trail. The large percentage of Lebanon doesn't know that much about it, doesn't care about it, and the old adage is, well, the council's spending my money on something I don't use. That's the trouble. You don't use it. I was sitting out there today. I work for Boone County Senior Services, and I was sitting in that parking area because I needed an area before I went to pick up the client. And I watched 4, and I'm going to say this, senior ladies get out of their vehicles and walk down the trail. And I spoke to 2 of them, and I said, do you use it often? Oh, about once a week if the weather's good, and things like that. So it is being used out there. I've not observed the other direction, of course, too much, and of course through the town part, you don't really have use of it yet because of the blockages of everything else. But I'm in favor of the trail. I think most of Lebanon is in favor of the trail. They just don't know about it somehow. It gets on the back burner to some extent. Very interested in the southern route. I travel through the Zionsville and Whitestown area. I see that trail being used all the time. All the time. I park, we have to wait for clients and we can't approach at certain times. We have to wait, so we park in areas where we can. And a lot of times those trail parking lots are not as busy and you can park there. Zionsville get used constantly. Whitestown is getting more and more used. So it's out there, and if we could make that connection to the Monon Trail all the way to Lafayette, that'd be probably a fabulous thing to do. Whether it'll happen in my lifetime, some of the younger people's lifetime, it might happen. But I think it's important, and like I said, I never really realized how important it was until I have started observing it. And I think if we could somehow get the other people out there seeing it being used, and maybe once we get the trail part through the Lebanon part, and then where the new bricks and everything is, maybe once we start seeing that, it might take off a little bit better. As far as the county, good luck. I don't have a lot of faith in that happening. Maybe somebody on the county council can listen. I just don't have a lot of faith in that happening right now. Money, that's it. It is money. That's what everything is money. So my point is, I think it's a good idea. I'd like to see it happen in my lifetime. I don't know if that will happen or not, but happen in my grandchildren's lifetime. They use the Monon Trail constantly. They ride their bikes constantly on the Monon Trail. The only other thing I would fear about, have we even thought, or not, hopefully never been a problem, security. What things have we talked about?
So we actually have quite a few trail cameras up that we have, we've installed those recently.
Well hidden because I've never seen them.
And then we also have, the police have their ATV that they use to patrol that as well.
That's good. I've never seen anybody, hopefully we never have a problem. That's the worst fear that I have of anything is having a security issue.
And that's something too we've talked about in our different group meetings with the kind of countywide trails group, is to talk about how do we have systematic emergency response systems and things like that. So those are all things we've
These
talked
four
about.
ladies today, they had no qualm of walking down that trail. Of course it was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But, so anyway.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it.
Hope you can go forward with it.
I got one more comment, and please don't think I'm crazy, okay, like some people do. But after we make whatever commitment that we decide that we're going to make this evening and move whatever, I have a good feeling that we'd have a good chance to get something. But I think if you're on this committee, or Kevin's on this committee, or Whitestown's on this committee, and Kevin Van Horn back there is on this committee to get to South End, I say get moving, put that on the next application, see what happens. Just see what happens, because if we can keep it going, that's going to be the best thing. If we wait 5 years to do something down there, it's a lost cause. We've lost a lot of time, just like Tom talked about. That gets a lot of traffic that way, and we're missing on that traffic. We're missing why people want to come here, or why they're living over there and they don't come here, is because we don't have that trail system that gets them all the way through. We have made huge strides, Mayor, in the last few years to get it through the communities, to the park, to the west side. Now we need to get it to south side. So we have made huge strides in getting that trail. But now we need to connect somewhere. Thorntown's a nice connect. They need to really get involved and understand the importance of what that trail means. For you take the trip that I've seen of bikers riding down there and eating, that's the exact reason why you use the trail from one place to another.
Yep.
And at the other side is head south, go to Whitestown.
Yep.
I may not ride, but if I was riding again, I might ride to Whitestown and take in a few restaurants there and come back. But I'm just saying, let's don't drop the ball. If we're going to move, let's keep moving. That's all I have to say.
Any other thoughts from council?
No, sir.
Okay. So Dick, you threw out the $1 million thought. Are we comfortable with the scope of all the way up to Thorntown, to Cedar Plain Road?
Mayor, I wanted to make sure, you're saying we have 5 years to generate the $1 million. Is that what you're saying?
If we are awarded the grant, we have 5 years to construct the project, yes. So that can be.
So they're not going to change that in the midstream on us?
Nope, and even if we are awarded the grant and we say things have changed, we can't commit this anymore, they say, okay, move on, and we're not out of any pocket. So we're not writing any checks tonight. It's just
Well, that I understand, but I'm just saying there's a difference between $200,000 for 5 years versus $1 million that could come out real quick.
Yeah.
No, we won't have $1 million come out real quick.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, I don't want them to change the rules.
No, it can be.
After they set the rules up the first time.
No, we can phase it how we want to phase it, how we can pay for it, how we can, frankly, if the priority is to construct the area through town first, we can construct that first and then construct the section between Center Township and Cedar Plant Road as the last phase. We can phase it over, as long as it's completed in 5 years. That's
The commitment is what we're willing to commit towards the with the application.
And what the scope
We're
is.
not committed to anything unless we win.
correct. That's correct.
What did you say the percentage was for $1 million?
So if we do the whole project, the 45% is a 1.389. If the $1 million Dick proposed is about a 36% contribution of the overall, or the $1 million is more than 45% of just the section through town.
We're talking $1 million plus the value of the Prince of Good Guy Trails.
We've already factored in the donation in the overall.
Oh, that's already factored in?
That's in factor.
Already, yeah.
Okay.
So then that's putting us below the 40%.
Correct. Yeah, so the 40% is 1.188. If we wanted to do 40%.
We should go
Could you
45%.
restate the 45 for the total project?
Yeah, so 45% for the overall project, which, the city's commitment would be 1.389 for the 45%. 40% would be 1.188.
So are
Kevin, do you
you
remember-
saying then that it's gonna be $1.8 million counting the 400 and some $1,000?
That's correct. Yeah, the overall pledge then with the donation would be 1.8 million, yes.
The 1.389 is in addition to the donations that
Yeah,
are.
the 400, yes.
My vote is for 45%.
Kevin, do you remember
1.389.
what the percentage was last time on the 20 that were accepted? What their percentage was? Do we
I
know?
don't, they varied.
It somewhat varied based on location and whether the regional importance of the trail, but it was around 30%. So, because Colfax, I think, only did 20, but they were again targeted as a regional importance trail, so they got helped a little bit with that.
I think the Colfax Award was an important, I think, marker in terms of the program that the Big Four Trail Corridor is important because they got the match at a lower percentage. But as we've said, as a number of people have said, I think it's going to be more competitive this round.
And Colfax has limited resources.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
20% for Colfax is
a lot.
a big ask. That's I would venture to say that's a bigger ask than a 45% match for the city of Lebanon.
So I still say we should go all in, do everything we can, 45%.
That is
We
your
got
staff's
5 years to work it.
recommendation.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
I think we should go for it as well. I would think a 45% would really help us stand out, and I think the whole community would benefit for this forever, so I think 45%.
And that's the thing you got to think about is, I mean, I heard what Tom said about, he knows some people that don't use it and so forth. We're thinking about 35, 55 years from now. That's what we got to think about. So that's the deal. When you've been places like Denmark and Finland, where they've had this for 50 years already, you see how far behind we are. So we got to think 50 years in the future.
I would echo that. This is a transformational legacy type of project for this administration. This is really something that you are planning for, as Tom said, for your grandchildren. But it's important today. It's not just important, for your grandkids. To anecdotally tell you, when we're talking to developers that are coming in here, we're talking to residential developers or commercial and mixed-use developers. They're real excited about what we've done with our downtown, which includes a trail. And they do want to ask us, what does the rest of your trail plan look like? Because the buyers of today want those kind of amenities. They want to be on these regional trail projects. We can show you statistics. It's been a couple years since I've updated them, but last time I did, which was about 3 years ago, between 3 and 17% is the property value increase if you live on or near a trail. Yeah, so this is where the real estate industry, this is where the development industry is going, and it's going towards these quality of life improvements like regional trails.
Mike, do you want to put your proposal in the form of a motion, or unless there's further discussion from council?
Anybody else have anything to say?
I don't really have things, I'm just, want to make sure everybody's comfortable where the money can come from, and we're comfortable going over the period of time. I'm just having trouble fixing that in my mind.
So it can be funded any source we want. So it can be,
We don't have to identify that.
That's
for the
correct, yeah.
grant.
yeah.
Really, all we have to say is we're willing to support up to X amount of dollars. Where it comes, if we get the grant, at that point, then we can decide where we're going to fund any amount of money every year out of towards that project. So right now, if I was picking anything to make it easy, I would pick it out of food and beverage, right? If you wanted to do that, say that now, but we really don't have to do that now. All we have to decide is how much are we willing to put towards the grant application and hope we win. And if we win, then we decide where that's coming from.
But to answer Morris, there are places to get it. There are places to extract those funds.
Well,
We'll get it.
I haven't seen it.
I mean, we
That's
could get
okay.
it now. I mean, we could do it now.
We haven't been through the budget, so I'm not going to stand in the way, but I'd like to know where money's coming from. We can do it. It just makes sense to me.
The only other question, it's 260,000 for the 5 years if you go to 1.3 versus 200 for $1 million.
Yep.
So that's what you're talking about.
So are you okay with 45%, Keith?
Yes and no?
I'll take the first answer.
You always want that one.
I only heard the yes. Don, any comments?
So we take a vote.
Okay, I make a motion that we move forward with the grant process with the 45% match process
For the full scope.
for the full scope of the project.
Okay. Which would equate to $1.389 million.
Correct.
Okay. We have
I'll
a motion.
second it.
We have a motion and a second.
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. I will give Derek that direction, and we will start working on the application and cross your fingers, hope we get it. So that concludes what I have.
That's all with a matching check from the county, right?
Well, we can start talking to them about that now, too. So that concludes what I have for old business and new business. Anything from council?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll move on to claims and entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to approve and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, claims are approved, and we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'd like Sierra to make that motion.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn today's meeting.
We have a motion to adjourn and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, we are adjourned. The next city council meeting will be September 23rd at 7:15 PM. Thanks for watching.